Hello, my name is Mike Fisher. I'm on the Water Quality Committee, and I'd like to explain a few details about the DNR's Healthy Lakes program. It's actually administered locally by the Marquette County Land and Water Conservationist. This is a picture of Pat Kilby, who runs that office. His office is in Westfield. He visited 7 of our properties a few weeks ago, and on this property, he suggested the owner plant native plants to help secure the shoreline and prevent nutrient runoff. The grant would pay up to $1,000 to purchase the plants and any materials. The property owner would still have to prep the land and plant the plants. This is one example of how a shoreline could look after shoreline planting was done. You can specify what kind of plants. You can specify lower ones if you don't want to block your view, etc. This is part of the DNR's brochure that explains it and shows how you can pick one of many different plant varieties. You'd pick, as an example, this is moist wet soil, and these are some suggested plants. You'd pick some plants and then order them from Prairie Nursery. Prairie Nursery is in Westfield. It's a little expensive, but the DNR would reimburse 100% of your cost. And you could spend up to $1,000 to buy plants for along your shoreline. The grant covers 350 square feet. Say like 10 feet by 35 feet as an example. This just shows how prairie plants have a root structure that is conducive to shoreline erosion control, and as well as catching nutrients that would otherwise flow into the lake. The grant also covers diversion. These are a few examples of how diversion can work. More commonly would be an earthen hump versus a log placed on your shoreline, or along your property, I should say. Here's a property on a lake that could have a diversion planted or set up this way and this way to get the water to run through the woods and not down into the lake so quickly. Pat knows a guy with a mini excavator that would do this work, and maybe it would cost $2,000. The DNR would pay for $1,000 of that to have somebody come out and do the work. That's just some rough example. Rock infiltration, as the name implies, allows for water to run into the earth and out into the lake. Here's a little infiltration pit along a parking lot or driveway. There's another example of rock infiltration. Again, somebody with a mini excavator might charge a few $1,000s to do this kind of work. And then you get paid back for part of the cost. Here's Pat explaining how that would work in this location. And that's it. I just wanted to give you a quick rundown of 3 of the aspects of the DNR's granting program: shoreline plantings, diversion, and infiltration.